There was always an envelope on top of the refrigerator. Not a wallet, not a bank card, an envelope. Plain white, one word written in ballpoint pen. Rent. Your mother put cash in it the moment she got paid. Immediately. Before groceries, before everything else. Because if groceries came first, the envelope might not get filled. You saw that envelope every morning reaching for the orange juice. You didn't think about it. You just knew. That envelope mattered more than you did. That was your first financial education. Nobody sat you down and gave you a seminar called, "Here's Why You'll Struggle with Money Your Whole Life." Nobody explained the rules of the game you were already playing. It was quieter than that. It was the way your father changed the channel when a car commercial came on. The way your mother said, "We'll see." And you already knew that "we'll see" meant no. Just a no that didn't want to look like a no. Nobody taught you to be ashamed of money. You just were. Before you could even spell the word. It got into you quietly, completely. And by the time you noticed, it had already been there for years. There was a moment. You were 14, maybe 15. A girl showed up in your class. You know exactly who. And you wanted to ask her to the movies. Simple thing. 2 tickets, popcorn, maybe McDonald's after. You did the math in your head. You looked at what you had, and you said nothing. Not because you were afraid she'd say no, because you were afraid she'd say yes. That was the first price of the imaginary ceiling, and you paid it without even thinking. You skipped school trips when the fee came at the wrong time. You wore the same sneakers for 2 years and got very good at pretending you didn't care. You stopped asking. Not dramatically, just quietly, one day, you stopped. Your parents weren't bad, they were exhausted. And there's a specific face that exhausted parents make when their kid wants something they can't give. You learned to read that face faster than anything they taught you in school. And once you learned it, you never unlearned it. It taught you that big money was for other people, that ambition and nice cars and vacations, those belonged to a different life, one you could see but never touch. You watched those people the way you'd watch a different species, with curiosity, not envy, because you'd already accepted you weren't one of them. And somewhere deep, so deep you never even called it a thought, you accepted it. Accepted that the ceiling was real, that the right posture for someone in your position was gratitude for what you had, not hunger for what you didn't. Nobody drew the line. Nobody had to. The limit was just there, passed down silently from one generation to the next like a family trait nobody asked for. You didn't hit the ceiling because someone put it there. You hit it because everyone around you had already stopped climbing. And for a long time, you assumed that's just where the stairs ended. But something kept nagging at you, like a song you can't place, like a question you don't have words for yet. You looked around at your life, and it all made sense on paper, but it didn't feel right. And one day, something in you just snapped. Level 2, the shift. You're 19, thousands of miles from home, empty bus, late at night, heading back to campus after a free public speaking seminar. The kind you showed up to not because anyone told you to, but because something in you was hungry and you didn't know what to feed it yet. You just finished the last chapter of Richard Branson's book. You close it, put in your headphones, Lose Yourself comes on. Eminem, Branson. 2 guys who looked at the same world everyone else was looking at and decided the rules didn't apply to them. And sitting in that empty bus, one stop from campus, something shifts. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet, certain feeling that the ceiling you grew up under, it was never real. It was just a story, passed down, accepted, never questioned, until right now. You don't tell anyone, not yet, maybe not ever. You've seen what happens when someone from your world starts talking about doing something different. Your friend tried it 2 years ago. They didn't even wait for him to fail. They started talking the moment he announced it. And when he quit, everyone acted like he'd finally come to his senses. So you stay quiet. You read at night, biographies of people who built something from nothing. Business books, interviews with founders who started with less than you have right now. You fill your notes app with ideas that feel half genius, half crazy. You start something. It doesn't work. You start something else. That doesn't work either. But here's what nobody sees. Every attempt is separating you from the version of you that never tried. That distance is invisible right now, but it's permanent, and it's going to cost you something. You'll find out what soon enough. Level 3, the attempts. 18 months in, maybe 2 years. You've lost count. You're 23. Your bank account doesn't reflect a single hour of what you've put in, not one. And that math, that specific, brutal math, is something no highlight reel ever shows you. The guys selling courses about success skip this chapter entirely. You can't make a pretty short out of this with good retention. The algorithm won't reward this part. But this is exactly what defined everything that came after. But here you are, inside it. You're exhausted in a way that a weekend can't fix. You're cold calling, hundreds of them. You leave voicemails nobody returns. You send emails that disappear into silence. You try to get in front of decision makers at companies who don't know you exist and have no reason to care. Some days you get one call back. Most days you get none. And everyone around you is having a normal Friday night while you're staring at a spreadsheet of people who haven't picked up the phone in 3 weeks. Some nights that normal life starts to look very, very attractive. Your friends didn't disappear overnight. It was slower than that. First, you missed a few hangouts. Then they stopped texting to invite you. Then weeks went by and nobody noticed, including you. One day you open your phone and realize the last time you actually hung out with your boys was 4 months ago. No fight, no drama, just 2 different lives quietly pulling in opposite directions. You told yourself that's fine, that this is what it costs. And it is. But knowing the price doesn't make it free. Your family means well. That's the hardest part. Your mom calls on Sunday and you can hear it. Not disappointment, just fear. Around month 18, your dad quietly mentions a backup plan. Not to hurt you, because he loves you and he's never seen this road before. Fear sounds a lot like doubt when it comes from people who love you. Then it happens. You spent 8 months building something specifically for enterprise clients. 2 big companies had been in talks with you for months. Calls, demos, follow-ups, pilots. You built the whole product around their needs. Then one Tuesday morning, 2 emails land within an hour of each other. Both say the same thing in different words. Budget freeze. Internal priorities shifted. They wish you the best. 8 months. 2 emails. You close the laptop and just sit there. It's 2 a.m. You're not sleeping. You're just lying there in the dark, running the same loop in your head for the 3rd hour straight. And the voice comes. The one that sounds exactly like every person who ever quietly doubted you. Your uncle who said, get a real job. Your friend who called it a phase. That one professor who said the market doesn't need another app. And the voice is calm. That's the scary part. It's not angry. It's reasonable. It says, look around. Really look. Nobody from your neighborhood did this. Nobody from your school. Nobody from your family. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a coincidence. Maybe they all tried in their own way and figured something out that you haven't yet. Maybe the ceiling isn't a lie. Maybe it's just reality with a nicer name. You sit with that for a while, then you get up. Not because you're special, because going back is no longer an option. That version of you, the one that accepts the ceiling, he's gone. You let him go a long time ago. So you get back to work. Quieter, more focused, less noise, more movement. Something is shifting. You can feel it before you can see it. Level 4, the first proof. You're not on Forbes 30 under 30. Not even close. You're 26. You've been chasing enterprise clients for 3 years with your team, and today, after months of calls, demos, follow-ups, and silences, one of them said yes. Not a startup, not a favor, a company with billions in revenue that had 100 better options and chose you anyway. You're sitting at your desk when the email comes in. Contract signed, deposit incoming. You open your banking app 20 minutes later and just stare at it. It's the most money you've ever seen with your name attached to it, and it arrived on a completely ordinary Thursday afternoon. You check it twice, put the phone down, pick it up again. Then you just sit there. You want to call someone, but you stop yourself, because this moment has a weight that only makes sense if you were inside the journey. The cold calls nobody returned, the app you shut down in 4 clicks. You can't hand someone that context over a phone call, not tonight. So you sit with it. Just you and the number. You let it be real. Something shifted, not in your head, in your chest. You don't just believe anymore, you know. There's a difference and you finally feel it. But here's what that first win also does. It raises the stakes. Because now it's real, which means now it can disappear. You get quieter about it, more protective. You don't post, you don't talk, you just put your head down and keep building. You reinvest, you stay hungry. Because this wasn't the destination. This was just confirmation you're headed the right way. And somewhere out there, The number that changes everything is already closer than you think. Level 5, the threshold. You're 29, sitting in a glass-walled meeting room at a co-working space. Coffee in front of you, laptop open. You've got a client call in 20 minutes. Eminem's Lose Yourself is playing in your headphones. Same song, same feeling it always gives you. Some things don't change. Then your phone buzzes. You glance down, open the app, and there it is. 7 figures. Your name, your account. You refresh the page, still there. You close the app, open it again, still there. In 20 minutes, someone is going to join this call expecting a focused, professional version of you. And right now, you're just sitting in a glass room staring at a number that just rewrote everything you thought was possible for someone like you. Instead of celebration, silence. A deep, disorienting silence. The kind that comes when you cross a line nobody in your family has ever crossed before. Because here's what nobody warned you about. You are the first person in your entire family line to ever stand in this spot. No reference point. No relative who left a map. No family story that sounds anything like this. You are standing in a room nobody from your world has ever entered, and the silence in that room is louder than anything you expected. You want to call your mom. You actually dial. She picks up on the second ring like she always does. You open your mouth to say it, and then you don't. You talk for 15 minutes about nothing, because the number is too big for a phone call, because you love her too much to drop it on her without warning, because you don't know yet how to share something nobody in your family has a word for. You hang up. Then you open your texts. Your girlfriend, the one who watched you disappear into this for 2 years without ever asking you to stop. You type, "It happened." She responds in 30 seconds, just 3 words, and somehow that's enough. You sit back, stare at the ceiling. Here's the first thing the money does. That low hum of financial anxiety that lived underneath everything for years, the one you stopped noticing because it was always there, it goes quiet. And that silence alone was worth every bit of the journey. Here's what the money doesn't fix. It hands you a brand new set of problems you had no idea existed. Tax structures, asset protection, investment decisions that actually matter now. You grew up in a house where the entire financial strategy was an envelope on top of the refrigerator. Nobody left you a manual for what comes next. Something shifts in the days that follow. Not about the money, about what the money means, about who it's really for. You're about to find out. Level 6, the weight and the mission. You go home for Thanksgiving. Same house, same smell, same TV too loud. You sit in the car for a second before going in, not because you don't want to see them, because you need a moment. Because the person who grew up in that house and the person sitting in this car, they're not the same anymore. And you're still figuring out how to hold both of them at once. Inside, everything looks the same, but you see it differently now. You know what it cost them to keep this place, every month, for 30 years. You've known that number for a while. You've been carrying it quietly. You don't say anything that night. You just sit with them. You eat, you laugh, you watch them be exactly who they've always been. And the next morning, you make one phone call to the bank. Their mortgage, gone. 30 years of payments, wiped out in a single transfer on a Tuesday morning while your mom is still asleep and your dad is making coffee. You don't film it, you don't post it, you just call him after and say, "Go check your email, Dad." The silence on the other end of that call lasts about 4 seconds. Then his voice breaks. That sound, that specific 4 seconds of silence before your father's voice breaks, that is worth more than every cold call you made, every 2 a.m. night, every moment you almost stopped. That's what the number was always for. A week later, you tell him to go outside. There's something in the driveway. You're on FaceTime. You watch his face when he sees it. A car. Nothing crazy, just something reliable, clean, new. Something he would never buy for himself because that's just not who he is. He doesn't say anything for a long time. Neither do you. Now here's the part that hits different when you're alone at night. You are the first. In your entire family history, every generation before you, every person whose blood runs in you, nobody did this. Nobody broke the cycle. Nobody changed what was possible until you. And here's what nobody tells you about that ceiling you spent years trying to escape. It was never real, never concrete, never steel. It was made of beliefs. Other people's beliefs passed down like old furniture nobody chose, but nobody threw out either. Your parents believed it. Their parents believed it before them. And for a while, you believed it too. Not because it was true, because everyone around you acted like it was. The ceiling only existed in the minds of the people who never questioned it. You questioned it, on a bus, at 19, with a book in your lap and M&M in your headphones. And the moment you questioned it, it started to disappear. Here's what that means for everyone who comes after you. Your kids will never know what it felt like to do math in their head at a cash register. They'll never skip a school trip because the timing was wrong. They'll never stay silent about someone they liked because their pockets were empty. They'll never see an envelope on top of a refrigerator and understand, without anyone explaining, what it means. They'll look up and see nothing but open sky, and they'll assume that's just how sky looks, unlimited, normal, obvious. They won't know it used to have a ceiling, because you removed it. That's what a game changer actually looks like. Not a Forbes list, not a viral moment, not a highlight reel. Just one person from an ordinary family who grew up reading the fear on their parents' faces and decided that story ends here, with you. You broke the cycle. You changed the bloodline. Everything that comes after you starts from a different place, and that envelope on top of the refrigerator, the one with rent written in ballpoint pen, it's gone. In its place, a father who drinks his morning coffee without a weight on his chest, a mother who stopped doing math before she goes to sleep, kids who will never know what it costs to keep the lights on. You built that, out of nothing, out of an empty bus, a borrowed book, a song that felt like it was written for you. And the view from here? It's everything you were never supposed to have. Which level are you at right now? Drop it in the comments. You might be closer than you think.